Hey guys, Jeff here. I'm back with another episode. What you're gonna find with me is I kind of jump around on projects based on what needs to be done. So today we're working on the 53 Ford. I'll give you a tour of it here shortly, but kind of the long story on it is I was watching it on Facebook Marketplace for pretty much all summer. And then right around my birthday in September, I watched the guy that had it for sale. He kept on lowering the price, and it got to a price point where it made sense. So my daughter and I hooked up the trailer, put it behind my reliable F-150 Lightning, and we headed out just about an hour down the road and picked this truck up. Since then, like I had originally told myself, I'm never buying an old truck because they don't run. They always need to be worked on. They leak, and I just wasn't doing it. I'm past it. I like having my new vehicles. But here I am with an old truck, and it doesn't run. It leaks, and it needs to be worked on. But in all honesty, I've actually quite enjoyed this old thing, and my daughter really likes it, which is pretty cool. Short story on it is the guy that had it before me bought it from a guy in my hometown here in Vernon that had done some work on it. When I got there, they had jumper cables hooked up to an extra battery inside, and this is how they were starting it, with a 12-volt battery to a 6-volt system, and just giving it the extra turning power. And the fuel pump was shot on it. We kind of jimmy rigged it to get it started and put on the trailer. And anyways, I got this thing back home, did a little bit of work on that fuel pump, and was able to get the truck running moderately reliably. Still had a hard time starting, and it wouldn't, sometimes would stall out on us, so we had to run it with some choke. And so it's kind of been the story of it. And then I ordered a new fuel pump, new mechanical fuel pump for it, and installed that, and it worked much better. Still, you couldn't quite figure out, once it warmed up, it needed a different way to start, a little bit more choke, a little less choke. It didn't figure it out 100%. So I still think that there must be something worn out, maybe on the camshaft, that is pushing the rod to make the fuel pump, and we're not getting full fuel on it. So I'm at the point now where, and I know it's probably against the traditionalist way to go, but I'm at the point where I want to put an electric fuel pump in it. So that's kind of where I'm at tonight. I'll walk you through that, but let's have a look at the truck first. Okay, so here's the Grumpy Bear. It's got the flathead V8 in it, which actually runs really well when it's running. And I know it's a fuel problem because if I put starter fluid in there, it runs for as long as it has the starting fluid. And like I said, it's been running no problem as long as it's getting fuel. And when I pull the fuel hose off and turn it over, it's not pumping any fuel at all. So that's what we got her narrowed down to. I'll just give you a look of it here. There's a few things I'm going to do to this truck. We're not going to get crazy on it. I actually kind of like it being, whatever it is, 70 years old. It's a 53. So I kind of like it being that way. The only thing I'm going to do is I do have a new lowering axle and rear leaf spring flip kit for it. So I am going to drop it. I'm going to put some 20s on it, or 22s maybe. We're going to redo the interior, essentially just do the seat on it. I'll show you this, which I have the ability at my facility to do. So I'd like to put something, a little better looking in it, and we'll do something with the floor mat. But other than that, we're just going to drive it with all its dings and dents and, different colored paint, and yeah, just enjoy it for what it is. It's an old truck. We just need it to run a little bit more reliably. So anyways, that's where I'm at with it right now. I'm going to, we'll dive into a little bit of the process here on getting this fuel pump installed. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna work on installing an electric fuel pump on this thing. I have this pump right here. Now we're already fighting an uphill battle, and it's only because I'm being impatient. I can order in another fuel pump. This is meant for a 12 volt system. The truck is still on 6 volt. So we're only gonna pump half as much fuel with this thing because we're cutting half the power out of it. But I'm gonna see if it's enough to at least get me going in the right direction, and if this is gonna solve my fuel flow problems. And if it does, if it works moderately well or reasonably well, then I can just order the 6 volt in, swap this thing out, put the 6 volt in, and then we're on our way. So this is gonna be the project, and we'll get started on it right now. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is install this fuel filter. So I'm gonna just run a little Teflon. Actually, I'm gonna go to this other Teflon, which is rated for gas, and we'll put this on, and then we can make sure we don't cover the hole up here. We'll get this installed, and then we'll have a filter in place. There we go. All right, now don't mind this excessively huge crescent wrench. It's all I have at the house right now, but it will do the trick just fine. Okay, so we got that installed, sealed up. We're gonna crawl underneath the truck now and see what we're dealing with under there. Okay, so here's what we're dealing with. This fuel filter is only half a tank of fuel old. You can see there's quite a bit of sediment in there, but the fuel filter is doing what it's supposed to do, so that's good. What we're gonna do is we're gonna crimp off this line, and then I'm gonna install the fuel filter right here. And what we'll do is we'll just temporarily put it in and add some power to the pump and see if we're gonna get the results we want. I'm still gonna run it even through the mechanical pump right now, just to see if it's gonna work. It's supposed to be able to push through that, so we'll see. And then if that's the case, maybe we can just use the fuel pump as a primer on a toggle switch. We can prime the vehicle, get it running, and then turn it off. So let's do that. Okay, I've got the fuel pump temporarily installed underneath the vehicle, and I've pulled the fuel line off of the carburetor here and just dump the fuel into the carb just to see. So what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna actually turn the truck over without the fuel pump running, and we're just gonna see on the mechanical end if we can get some fuel to pump up here. This is what's obviously been the problem. So we'll just turn it over a little bit, just see if we get any fuel. So you can see we're not getting any fuel out of there. What I'm gonna do now is, so I've got this mocked up here with a lithium battery, and then it's going to the fuel pump, and I've done a toggle switch here just to see if we can get this thing to work. So let's give it a little bit and see if we get some fuel up here. You can hear it priming. Sounds like it's going. We're not getting any fuel though, so we gotta see. We'll give it a couple minutes. Let's see if it'll push through. There it is. There we go, we got fuel. So this should work. So now I'm going to reconnect this pump, or sorry, this hose to the carb, and then we'll give it a go and see if it runs. Okay, I'm going to turn the ignition on. We're gonna give her let's give her a little bit of choke here. I'm gonna go full, and then I'm gonna go about halfway back. I'm gonna turn the toggle on. You can hear the fuel pump's kicked in, and let's see what we get. Hey, hey! There she is. Let's give her a little more choke. See if she wants to run on her own. Look at that. Got a running truck. is I want to cut this fuel pump and see if it stops working. Let's see what we get. So fuel pump is now off. I'm hoping that I can just use that pump for a primer. Pull the choke in a little bit. Push it in, I should say. We'll see. We'll let the fuel run out of it, unless the mechanical's taken over now. We'll see. Oh, look at that. Dies right away. Okay, we've turned the pump back on again. Let's see what we get. Fires up like nothing. Just got the idle set a little bit low there, so I'll have to adjust that. Well, I don't need any more evidence that an electric fuel pump is the way to go. So we'll call that fixed. And we'll get it in there properly and see if we can run this one off the 6-volt pump. And if we can't, we'll get a 6-volt pump in, and this will solve our problem. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys.